Hey guys, welcome back to the Salice Rose Show. I am here with my guest at this point, my co-star, Gabby. So really quick, before we start, you guys don't forget to subscribe, download all the podcast episodes. We are on literally every platform you can think of, right? So if you're someone that's ever been stuck in a trauma bond, or you're currently in a trauma bond, or you want to know how to get out, or whatever the case may be, let's get started with that topic in 3, 2, 1. Okay, so what is your definition of a trauma bond?
I think initially when I thought of a trauma bond, I figured that you have to go through something traumatic that makes you want to lean on one another. Mm-hmm. So I was thinking if there was a couple together during COVID, is that considered a trauma bond? Because a lot of people your life got shut down, the world was kind of scary. So were those couples that were kind of forced to live together, is that considered a trauma bond? Or?
I mean, I feel like you said it could be different for everybody. Yeah. But what I think a trauma bond is when, for example, me and my 10-year ex, that was for sure a trauma bond, but that was also my first love. Mm-hmm. So past all the pain she put me through, or that I put her through as well, I'm not a victim here, but it's always gonna be a bond, no matter how much time goes by, you're I wonder.
So it's kind of because I guess you could say that due to how intense a relationship can get, or how bad the fights could get, I guess staying together and continuing to partake in that relationship is kind of that trauma bond that you get in romantic relationships.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's like that, or let's just say let's take the word trauma out. Let's say you and your partner right now, the guy that you're with right now, let's say you guys are together for the next 8 years, and then you guys break up. Let's say a little bit of trauma happened, and I guess the boyfriend that you had right now versus your ex, who would you have a bigger attachment to? You know what I mean? Okay. So it's typically the person that, yes, caused you some trauma, but also it's normally everybody's first love, or
that makes
type
sense.
Shit,
Yeah, because I'm thinking, especially too, the longer you're with someone, that bigger and stronger that bond grows. And so getting out of that situation is probably what makes it so difficult for a lot of people, because they are bonded to that person. And that makes a lot more sense.
Have you ever been in one, even friendship wise? Because I know Gabby, we're alike in that way. We're both very empathetic people, and when we care about our partner, our friends, it is so hard to just cut ties forever,
Yeah, I would say so then, because in terms of relationship, I was in a relationship that was a very long and in a crucial part of my life, when I was kind of transitioning into being an adult. And looking back in the moment, I would just make excuses for the relationship in general. But when I look back on it now, I'm kind of just thinking how there was a lot of behavior that caused a lot of self-doubt and insecurities.
Self-doubt with you?
Yeah.
But that he would do to you?
Yeah, exactly.
What?
I was just so naive. We had been together for a long time. We broke up, but I was so, I guess, I don't even know what the right word is. I just didn't
I think
want
naive
to give
is
up.
perfect.
Yeah, I was naive, and I didn't want to give up on the relationship.
Right.
So I think I was under the mindset that I had to do anything I could to save the relationship.
Yeah.
So I was basically compromising myself and what I deserve a lot to get slivers from him.
Oh my God.
Looking back, it's really embarrassing to think that I stooped to how I didn't even stoop low. I mean. Yeah. I don't know. It's just embarrassing.
I don't think you
to go
stoop
back.
low, but it's more of that you could have done better the whole time. Yeah. But that's a problem with people in relationships. I mean, we've all been there, done that. Although you can do better sometimes, you still stay because you have hope in the person. That's why so many people say are you really in love with this person, or in love with the lies they tell you? Are you in love with them, or in love with the lies? Exactly. Or the lies you tell yourself, or, oh, well, I see so much potential in them. I just hope and know that one day they're going to change for the better. And what if that day never comes? So you end up getting attached to potential that's not even there. That's why I feel breakups hurt so bad, because it's not so much the person that you miss. It's the potential you thought was there. It's the lies they fed you, and you actually believed it.
That's true.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's a heartbreak with them, but also we have to take accountability that we kind of broke our own heart believing someone that already showed us their red flags, Have you ever been in that situation where someone has shown you their red flags over and over and over again, but somehow, some way you're are we sure it's not like a little green, like kind of pink? Like, are we sure it's like a red flag and you just ignore it so much to the point where you're like, just you have completely lost yourself?
What I'm thinking, I don't think that I have, only because I'm such an overthinker. Mm-hmm. So whenever I would go into anything with anyone, even if it was just like a casual date, my mindset going into it was that they're already a red flag. Like, I was always
like, I don't fucking like you.
I was always preparing myself. So like whenever like I would like want to hang out with someone, my thing was always bring them around my friends, so I had an escape route. Because the second I saw something or heard something I didn't like,
you just wanted to be out.
I was
That's it.
Out, done. So
really?
Like, I was like that with anything.
Even
like,
your current boyfriend?
Yes. No,
and literally. Okay, day one, did you find a red flag?
No, that's why I was so thrown off. Because I would like
you're like, you're lying about something. No, I don't trust you.
Well, there was a red flag later on. But
not the first time.
Not the first time. Because like anything would be a red flag. Like the way they sat down, and I'd just be like, why do they sit that way? Are they hiding something? Like,
why do I see your crack when you're sitting down? That's a red flag.
I was just so untrusting of people in general.
Right.
That anything was a red flag.
Where did that untrust come from? Did it come from trauma? Did it come from someone lying to you? Did it come from childhood or from you self-sabotaging? Where did that mistrust come from? Now that I'm
thinking about it, it might have been like a combination of all of it, but primarily I just think I was really messed up from like my long relationship. I don't even know. That relationship was just like so unhealthy. Like it was a lot of just like back and forth and mistreating each other.
I feel like that relationship, although it was, no offense, shitty, it was good for you at the same time, just because I guess in a way, like, no shade to you, but like he taught you that you deserve so much better. He taught you like,
no, that is so true, because we had broken up and gone back together a few times within the relationship, and it wasn't until like the end, like I don't know what happened, but my mindset kind of switched, and I started realizing that like I was sacrificing so much and compromising my needs that like I kind of like my whole mentality changed, and I was putting myself first, and I wasn't like being like a doormat essentially. Like I wasn't like acting like that anymore. Right. So like things started falling more into place, and I found it easier to like kind of release that person. And then when I met the person that I'm dating right now, I had one day like where I was just like crying because I was like so upset with like my younger self, because I saw how easy it is for someone to treat you so good, and how someone will treat you so good. It's like I didn't even have to ask or anything. Like like my current boyfriend just like came.
It was so easy.
It was so easy. It felt so easy to love me. Like that's how he made me feel.
And make sure you're never with someone that makes you feel like loving you is a job.
Literally, that's that's what I realized in that moment. I was like, wow, the person I had been with for X amount of years prior made me feel like it was so difficult to love me. And then I was like, it's really like it was just him. Like
you were the problem the whole time, sir. But like what she's saying is so true, and that's why like I always, what the fuck is that one quote that I always live by? I heard it on TikTok, and it said you could be the whole package and still be delivered to the wrong address.
That's good.
And like if you really think about it, you could be everything. You could be beautiful inside. You could be beautiful outside. You could have the best personality. You can have like, you could be independent, you could be a hustler, you can be, you know, romantic, you can be all these fucking things. And guess what? That man will always make you feel like there's still something wrong with you, or like there's something missing, or that he needs other women's validation while still having you there on the side, or just making you feel like you're not enough. But when you take a step back, no matter how good of a person you are, you can literally still be with the wrong person. And until you are ready to, I guess, own up to that, you will always be with the wrong person. Now, I think a lot of people stay in relationships because, like, we always talk about this, like, they don't want to feel the heartbreak. They don't want to, like, oh, my God, I don't want to fucking heal, bitch. I ain't trying to do it. Let me just stay here because it's easier, and we've already been here for so long. Okay, fine. But don't ask yourself why you're not happy anymore. Don't ask yourself why you lost happiness 3-4 years ago. Ask yourself, would you rather? It's almost like you have to pick your poison. Both are painful. A heartbreak is painful, or staying in a relationship that you know that they don't value you is just as painful. Yeah. But the thing is, between the two, one of them ends up going away. That relationship will last as long as you let it allow.
Otherwise,
you know what I mean?
More damaging.
Exactly. So, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like as people, we have to be very accountable of like what we tolerate. You know what I mean? And no matter what we saw as kids growing up, or what our trauma was, whatever the fuck, we always have to realize what we deserve. We don't deserve what our parents deserve. We deserve what we think we deserve. You know what I mean? But
at what point do you remember thinking or knowing or like being aware that the relationship that you were in for so long was a trauma bond? Like, was it when you were in it or when you had stepped out of it? Like, when did you realize?
I kind of realized both, but more so, you know, when you're with someone for a long fucking time, not all people, but like you're always on, then you're off. You break up for a few months, you get back together. I kind of knew there was a trauma bond while being with this person because like I was so attached to her and I lost myself while loving her and I didn't fucking care.
Yeah.
So that already was a red flag. But I knew it was a trauma bond when every time we broke up, whether 6 months went by, 7 months, 4 months, every time she would email me or call me private, my heart was always like, maybe we should pick up. You know, like it's her. Like, you know, like maybe. And every time she will, 10 years straight, I would still always want to pick up the phone. I could have been in a whole new relationship. I could have been so much happier. I could have been with someone that was treating me like a fucking queen. But every time that phone rang, I was like, why the fuck do I still want to pick up? When I know you're shitty. I know what you've done. I know what you're capable of doing. I know that you're feeding me lies. But why the fuck am I so tempted to just email back and be like, I've been good, bitch. How you been? You know what I mean? Like, still getting some form of communication, but I think I just actually broke that bond, like, I would say like a year ago or so. And my thing is, the only way, to me at least, to break a trauma bond is by stop telling yourself that you're in a trauma bond. Because what you speak is actually your reality.
Yeah.
So you could actually be manifesting a trauma bond just by being so overly obsessed with the thought of it. You know what I mean? Or like, I was talking to my sister last night and she was like, oh, talking about her work stuff. And she was like, oh yeah, like I'm going to be anxious until this day. I'm going to have so much anxiety until like, you know, the next 2 months because of X, Y, and Z happening at my job. And I'm like, look what you just said. You just manifested a shitload of anxiety for the next 2 months instead of just being like open-minded and look, I don't know what's going to happen, but you know, like I'm being positive. You know what I mean? So be very careful with like what you speak, you know, because if you tell yourself you have a trauma bond, bitch, you're going to have one. If you tell yourself that you can't live without this person, when that breakup happens, you're not going to be able to live without them. If you tell yourself that you ain't shit and you're weak as fuck, life will give you nothing but downfalls. The way you talk to yourself matters so much. So I don't know. I feel like, yeah, with trauma bonds, like it's not your fault that you're in one, but it is your responsibility to get out of it. Now, how do you think, like personally, someone can overcome a trauma bond once they're already in it? But let's say like they're already broken up. How do you think, what is like the first step to like getting out of a trauma bond?
I think based off my experience, the thing that was hardest but most helpful was cutting any sort of communication or like visualization of that person. So like blocking them on social media, like blocking their phone number, blocking their email. Like I did it all.
That email, bitch.
Yeah, like I blocked it all.
Yeah.
Because we're human, so we get tempted to do things. So, like, regardless of, like, how good I would have been doing on my own, there would have been that little voice, like, where if you see something that reminds you of the person or you go somewhere that you guys used to go together, you kind of, like, have an inkling to want to, like, reach out to them. And I just needed to eliminate that, like, that possibility. So,
because
like,
that urge will always be there.
Exactly.
You know?
So, like, the whole thing of, like, out of sight, out of mind, I really think that's very true in terms of like trying to remove yourself from a situation like a trauma bond, like dealing with maybe even a friendship. Yeah. But I think that like getting rid of the option to communicate with them is probably going to be the most effective thing in the early stages. But it is really hard to do.
And don't lurk on them either.
Yeah, don't be lurking.
No.
Like you like literally out of sight, out of mind. That's what I think that was like the first step that like I had to take to be able to like kind of break that tie I had to them. Yeah,
because if you keep on like talking to them, like you postpone your healing process every single time you guys communicate. And definitely like what we're just saying right now, do not lurk on them whatsoever. Like I know you want to, I know you're curious to see like what is he doing? Is his girlfriend prettier than me? Like I just want to see, you know, I'm just like I'm over it, trust me, but like look it up. That's how I used to be. I would tell my sister all the time and her wife, like, hey, can you guys check on this person? I'm just curious.
I'm just curious.
Yeah, you know, like, I don't actually care. Yeah, you do. That's why you're doing it, you know?
And
go ahead.
I was like, I think that you have to also like hope that they'll kind of pay you the same respect and like block you on everything, because I got blocked on everything first, and I didn't understand it. I was like, what the fuck? Like, why am I getting blocked? And blah blah blah. Then I was unblocked, and then I was just like, you know
why do you think you were blocked first?
I think that was his way of trying to heal. I think that he was following the out of sight, out of mind.
I don't think so, because most men don't block their exes until they're with someone new or they're interested in someone new. And most of the time, it's their new partners being like, why the fuck are you still talking to her? Block her.
I don't think that was the
You don't
case,
think so?
Because I got blocked when I started seeing someone, like the person I'm dating now. So, because me and my ex were still friends, and we had like a healthy friendship. Like, looking back, it's like weird that we were friends like that. But it wasn't until my ex noticed I was dating someone who I was like actually really falling for. And my ex like straight up told me that like it hurt him to see me like with somebody, like falling in love with somebody else.
Well, that's not him.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's why he's like, he did tell me, he was like, I might block you just because it's hard to see you with somebody.
It's someone that's not me.
Exactly. And I was just like, okay, like whatever.
Damn, bitch, that is deep.
Yeah, it was
deep.
Honest. Getting out of that relationship and that even friendship in general was probably one of the most difficult things I had to do. But I'm very happy that I went through that, because I feel like I did learn so much. Obviously, I do feel bad because when I look back, I was such a young and naive person.
Why do you feel bad? And feel bad about what exactly?
I just know I'm a very emotional person. And the thing is, like, for so long in my life, I did not want to feel my emotions. I was so set on trying to be numb that it wasn't until like I moved away from my family and stuff, I realized how emotional of a person I was. So like, imagine being like 18, 19. And
wait, pause. Moving away from your family, how did that help you? Like, your emotions? I've never heard of that. I'm curious.
I think it's because I grew up in a very like strong household, like where like when my parents were together, my dad was very like no emotion, like very strict, stern.
He didn't make I don't know, I don't want to talk for him, but maybe you didn't feel like there was a safe space for you to like
but like vulnerable. Even it was just like if we were getting in trouble and like if we cried, like me and my sister, like he would yell at us to stop crying. So it was like, you don't want to get yelled out louder, so like stop crying. Wow. Or like if you cry in a movie, it's like, why are you crying in a movie?
Can we talk about how that's kind of a trauma bond right there?
No, literally.
That's a trauma bond, period.
And my mom did everything she could, like when my parents separated, to like just like make things good for us and happy. So like my mom, I think my dad kind of had an effect on her to where she felt like she always had to be strong and not show emotions. So when that's how my mentality was. So when I finally moved away, I kind of was like feeling all these, like I was 18, 19, kind of like just discovering my emotions. And then to get into a relationship when you're just discovering that you have all these emotions.
Oh my God, bitch.
So like the first time you feel jealousy in a relationship, the first time that your partner makes you sad, like all these things were like my first at like 18, 19. And I did not know how to properly deal with it.
Honestly, like moving, because I've never heard of that. Moving away from your family, like how was that detrimental for you, or how was that healing for you ultimately?
I think in the beginning it was very healing just because of I was very like mentally just not well as a teenager. I had like so much going on.
But that's not your fault though as a teenager.
Oh yeah, I know. It's very common. Like if you're a teenager, like everyone's mental health when you're a teenager is kind of all over the place. So I think that for so long I just kept telling myself like when I go to college, like I can like be me. Like I feel like I was always just putting on a show for most of my life. Got it. For a lot of people. Yeah. So when I moved away, I was like, okay, finally, like I can like be the version of myself who I actually feel that I am. Exactly. So I think it was like discovering all kinds of freedom and then not feeling embarrassed to like cry if like I see something sad or like I don't know. I think I just needed to get away to kind of just show myself that the world was so much bigger than what I knew. Because we come from a really small town. Like, we all went to all of our cousins, went to the same school at one point. Yeah,
everyone dates each other.
We're 5 minutes away from each other. Like, it was just, it's so small over here. Yeah. So, and I feel like when I was in a small place, my, like, my mind was very small as well. Like the possibilities I thought there were.
Gabby, louder. And I feel like being in a small area too, not like a small area, but like town, like it affects your creativity. It affects
you have to get
everything.
away sometimes. Yeah. Like,
right?
Like there's people who are like very, very happy and content being where they are, which like that's really good for you.
Yeah.
But they're just like, I don't like routine. Like I start to feel very drained with like a lot. Like I like structure. But I don't like my days to be copy and paste. Like, I can't do that. And that's how I kind of felt for so long. Was like,
I feel like she's my therapist right now. I'm not even kidding. I need to hear all this right now. That's why I'm like, keep going. Yeah.
It was just like copy and
you need to stop before she goes and buys another house again.
Where are we looking at apartments?
Oh my God.
There's much we have to catch up on.
Yeah. But it was just, I don't know. I feel like leaving gave me an opportunity to grow in every way, like mentally, physically, like spiritually. Physically, because freshman 15, but
that's on period. That is on period, bitch.
But I don't know.
So let me ask you a question. If you're comfortable answering, if not, then no worries. So speaking of like your dad, no hate to him, shade. I'm sure he did the best that he could. And like one thing my sister taught me is people will only love you in the way that they've been loved. And sometimes it's not enough for you, but because that's what they know. That trauma bond that you either have or had with your dad, because he never let you be emotional, never let you be vulnerable, never let you, in a sense, be Gabby. Yeah. Have you healed from that? Or do you still find yourself like, I still like, trauma bond is still there. I feel like I still like need his approval. I feel like I'm not enough for him. How is that?
Honestly, I feel like my issues with my dad are the things that I push to the side the most because I don't want to deal with it. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I love my dad. Like, I have a lot of respect for how successful he is and how hard he's worked to get where he is. Yeah. I think, if anything, I get more sad thinking about the parts of him that aren't as developed, such as, like, his emotions.
Okay.
But, like, I try to look at it with more sympathy and empathy because I'm like, okay, maybe he's just, like, not aware and he doesn't feel like he has the tools to, like, cultivate those parts of himself. Right. But at the same time, like, it's really, really hard and painful for me to kind of just even be with him for extended periods of times. And I don't blame him because obviously now I'm like understanding like as more like a young adult that parents also need to heal from things because they're just now coming to a realization of the stuff that they've gone through. Yeah. But it's very hard to be patient for like someone such as your dad to kind of want to be better.
When they don't even see the problem, low-key.
At that point, it becomes like generational, I think, because if you think about it too, back for the previous generation, so like our parents. If you even mention therapy, like, what do they say?
Yeah, like, it's dumb. You don't need it.
Like, what do you need it for? And I think this is the first generation.
You live a good life, bitch.
This is the first generation where, like, therapy is actually, like, a thing. So I think, Gabby, it's a lot of weight on you because now it's up to you to kind of flip things around for all, like, the generations that are going to come
It's almost
after.
like trying to change what they've grown up to believe as a child, trying to change their beliefs now.
That's so hard though, because I remember
people don't change normally.
Yeah, no, in high school, I feel like because when I was a minor still, I had to spend like X amount of time with my dad, X amount of time with my mom. So whenever I was with my dad, like because I was like forced to be in his house, like I remember in high school, I always wanted his approval. So like I would come, like I was like a very like overachiever kid in high school. So, like, anytime I got an award or a grade, like, I'd show him, and he'd be, like,
what was
so
his
happy.
reaction?
He was always just, like, my dad's a Leo, so he likes to flaunt things. Yeah. So, like, he would definitely, he would tell his friends, he would tell, like, his wife, like, he'd be, like, he kind of just, like, flaunted around.
And you liked it, though.
And I liked it because it made me feel seen by him. Right. Like, I was getting some kind of attention from him.
Which is good, but I'm sure it also made you feel like you always have to be winning to get some sort of, like validation.
Because when I came to college and I was struggling in the beginning with academically, I kind of didn't feel like I had anything to show him, so I felt like I was lacking some kind of connection.
You almost felt like you were disappointing him.
Exactly. And so, like, in high school, I was trying so hard, like Ash was saying, like I was trying to heal that relationship. So like I would have taken him. My mom's like really good at like trying to help me with my relationship with my dad. Like she's very like
really
yes. Oh, my mom has always been the kind of mom who like wants us to have a good relationship with our dad.
Oh wow.
So like she's always there to like listen but never judge, and she pushes us to like have a relationship with him. Which like I respect her for, because I can't say I would do the same if I was in that position.
I wouldn't, bitch.
But
yeah, fuck him.
I would like sit down with him at dinner or at Starbucks, and I would be like this happened, like we had this fight, you've said these things, and they've hurt me, and like I struggle in this way now as a result of that.
And what does he say?
And my dad would be there like, I don't remember saying that.
Bitch.
And I'd be like,
let me tell you
I'm
something.
pretty sure.
Why are people like this?
Why are dads the same way?
God.
We have the same dad, Gabby.
We have a whole story.
So you keep record of all my wrongs, but you don't remember your wrongs.
And that was my thing. Like I just wanted, like 16-year-old Gabby, like just wanted an apology. Like I just wanted to know that like you feel remorse.
You feel bad about like what you did and said to me.
Yeah, and that you want a healthier like you notice the faults in our relationships and you want to work towards a better one. Because my dad would be like, you don't call me, you don't this me, and I'm like, well,
and you don't call me. The phone works both ways.
Literally, like he would compare like my relationship with me and my mom to my relationship with him. And I would just be like, bitch, you guys are two different parents, and you've approached every situation with me differently.
Louder.
I'm going to go to the person I feel safer with.
And their generation, too, like, they grew up in a time also where it's just like the parents are always right. You can't question your parents. You can't anything. And if you do, you know what I mean? It's just like, it's the end of the world.
That is one thing. I'm sorry if you're a parent and you're like this, but oh my fuck. Gabby, one thing I cannot stand is when there's a new mom, okay, or a new dad, and the minute you have a child, now you're like, don't tell me how to raise my kids. I know what's best. I know this. I know that. You're fucking wrong. And you guys are uncultured. You guys are fucking creatures. Like, every new parent thinks that all of a sudden, just because you popped one out, now you're like Jesus or something. Everybody always thinks they're automatically better than you when they have a kid. Not all people, but some. They always think that, well, now I know it all. Well, what the fuck do you know? Do you have kids? That's what I thought. Do you have kids? Yeah, and they don't even talk to you. So what the fuck do you know? Half of the parents out there only have kids just to get taken care of when they're old, or because they want to have a sense of control. Because whenever you lack control in your life, you want to have a mini you that you can control and push your beliefs onto them and make sure that they become everything that you never could. And if they decide to not do that and live their own fucking life the way they want to, now all of a sudden, your child's stupid. Now they're rebellious. Now you're like, I didn't raise you this way. No, yeah, because imagine if I listened to everything you ever taught me, I wouldn't be where I am today. So a lot of parents only have kids to have control. And when it's those type of parents, no offense, those are the ones that lack accountability.
Yeah.
Because they already, no offense, I'm not saying that's your dad, but I know a lot of parents like this, they had you for the wrong reasons. They had you for themselves, not for you. You know what I mean? Like, so many people out there want to have kids because like, who's going to take care of me when I'm old? Who's going to like wipe my ass? Who's going to like whatever? It's going to help my taxes, you know? Like, maybe he won't leave me if I give him a baby. None of these reasons are for your child yet.
Yeah.
You want to be like, I want to have a kid because I want a baby. And I want a baby.
I also think that people can have that mentality of like, oh, I want to take care of this kid. But maybe I do think that if someone is not healed, that then those tendencies of being more selfish as a parent come out. Like, I'm not a parent, so like I can't speak to that. But I do know that it is hard to raise someone, I'm assuming, in like a healthy way, a healthy and safe way, if you've never felt healthy or safe. So it's like, if you haven't taken your time to heal, like I would imagine it would be difficult for you to raise a child to be healthy, strong, mentally, physically, emotionally, all those kinds of things, you know?
And you know what? That is such a golden point. Because nobody will ever fully be healed.
Yeah.
Because the minute you heal from X, Y, and Z, ABC comes back around to fuck you up, because life got hands. That bitch could fight. So you will never fully be healed. You know what I mean? But what she said, you need to make sure you heal from the pain that was done to you, whether it's by like old spouses or parents, and make sure how you said, I don't know who the fuck said it, break those generational curses so you can be the parent that you want to be, not the parent that your mom and dad were. I mean, unless you want to be, pick up their good traits, but also understand, like, this is your life. You don't have to be a copy and paste and a spitting image of your mom and dad. You do what you think is best for your child. You know what I mean? So I think trauma bonds can be family related. It can be with friends. It can be with exes. And they're so fucking scary because you feel like they're always going to have a hold on you, but they're not. Do you feel like now, like, your trauma bond with your dad is, like, gone?
No, now that I'm thinking about it, I think that particular one might be what affects me the most in, like, any kind of relationship.
How so? What is the main point that you think affects you because of your dad?
I'm very self-critical to the point, like, where I'm like, okay, if my dad can't, at least this is, like, my perspective. I can't speak for him.
Right.
If it feels as though I need to be constantly winning for my dad to love me or take interest in me. Or honestly, he doesn't really take interest in me much in general.
Well, shit.
But I was like, if I feel that way about someone who I would imagine is supposed to just, like, love you. Like, to me, like, a parent is just supposed to, like, it be their instinct to love you.
Unconditional
and
love.
You. Yeah.
Not conditional.
Exactly. Yeah. So, for me, like, I really struggle processing the fact, like, if it's so difficult for me to have a connection to someone who should innately have this unconditional love for me, how am I supposed to expect, like, this random boy
that I chose to be my person, period.
Yeah. So when I was first getting in my relationship, I would have the most random breakdowns where I just, like, was, like, in my head, like, no, like, you cannot trust him, like, he's not gonna love you, like, he can say he does, but, like, your own dad can't even, like, do this for you, so, like, how are you gonna put that trust in someone?
That is self-sabotage. That's not your fault, though.
That's true.
Self-sabotage, I'll hold you accountable when you are. But that is self-sabotage that comes from someone else's hurt to you. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
No, that makes sense, yeah.
So do you still feel that way about your partner? Or you're like, no, this motherfucker loves me. Like, he gonna love me for life no matter if I'm, like, winning or if I'm losing every day. Like, this is the person that's going to love me and my dad can't make me think otherwise anymore. Are you there yet?
I definitely think that I'm much closer to that. I do think I have those, like, if I have a bad fight with my dad, then, like, stuff comes up and I, like, start, like, not acting out, but I start, like, letting it bleed into, like, my relationship. Yeah. So I definitely think I'm at a much better place with just trusting the person I'm with and believing them and not, like, letting my issues, like, with my dad, like, bleed into the relationship. Like, I'm in a much better place with that now. And I'm very thankful to have a partner who's, like, understanding.
And patient.
Yeah. And so, like, he definitely, like, we had more difficult conversations in the beginning of us together. Like, I wanted to make sure that, like, I didn't want him to feel like he had to fix what was, like, messed up in me. I didn't want him to take on a responsibility of trying to...
But you were just letting him know, like, hey, this is what I come with. Are you down for the ride or not?
Yeah, and I told him, like, I was, like, going to therapy, like, and stuff. Like, I was, like, making an effort to fix things. I really just, like, didn't want to, like, be in that position. So, like, I'm better than the beginning, but I don't think that it's 100% like gone and healed.
Do you think that trauma bond will ever be gone? And this is, like, key here, guys. Do we think that the trauma bond will fully ever go away, or there's always going to be 1% of you that's like, am I doing enough for him? You know, I feel like
and is that dependent just on you, or do you think that your dad would have to play a role for that to fully go away?
Period. Yeah. Oh my God. He wouldn't. No offense.
I think of this a lot. Like, I've had these, because, like, there'll be times where I get upset about the smallest things with my dad, and I'll think that the only reason I'm so upset and mad about this is because I have so much, like, things built up. And so I think I've come to the point where I think I will only fully heal and not let that affect me if I have, like, a 100% honest conversation with my dad, but also expect that he won't reciprocate it. But I think I just need to get things out and off my chest.
You haven't done that yet?
No, I don't think I've tried since I was, like, 16 years old.
You know, a conversation sounds nice. It sounds so fucking nice, but it's almost like, would it even be worth it to have when you know what they're going to say? They're not going to tell you. I mean, I don't know. But experiences from like we've had with our dad, like, is he really gonna say something different this time?
Or are you gonna be disappointed again?
Are you gonna be disappointed? Is he gonna, you know, my favorite line is, no offense if you're watching, my favorite line is, well, just because you guys always chose your mom over me, okay? How do you think that makes me feel? I felt left out. The only woman that ever loved me was my wife. Yeah, because the only woman you ever loved was your wife.
Yeah.
Did you forget that you had kids? Kind of like, next episode's gonna be about this. Kind of like when you have friends and then you get with your partner. Now all of a sudden you're like, fuck my friends, fuck all you guys, I'm in love. This dick is so good, bye. Same exact concept. Like, I cannot stand those dads. Again, if you're offended by this, then do some self-work. I cannot stand those dads that are willing to not talk to their kids anymore, all because the new wife they have is insecure because those kids came from the first wife.
Say louder.
So what I'm trying to say is don't be bitter. You know, like those kids will be there even if, anyway, I cannot stand men that are willing to break their relationship with their kids. Because if they want to break up with their first wife, that's fine. That's up to them. That's their business. But to drop your kids and be so easily manipulated by a piece of pussy, and you're like, oh, you know what? Yeah.
Isn't that
my
crazy?
Kids are ungrateful. Fuck them.
I will never understand
it's
that.
So weird.
I think it is something that I don't think a lot of people understand unless you're in the position of experiencing it. Like, it is just your brain. Like, my brain can't comprehend or fathom it. How, like, a random bitch will, like, take priority over, like, the people that you created. Like, I don't
And then those
get it.
same people are on Facebook or whatever, and they're like, oh, yeah, you know, my kids don't love me. Must be nice. I didn't get a happy Father's Day this year.
These are the couples that have Facebook, joint Facebooks.
Bitch.
Yeah.
Literally.
Their bios. I love my wife.
I love my wife.
Oh my God. I'm like, bitch, it's so fucking, sorry if I'm yelling in your ear, but it's so fucking annoying.
Yeah.
And I don't really envy. Envy is not the right word because I'm glad that my parents got a divorce before my fucking first birthday, literally. But there's like a little inch of me that when I see people like that have good relationships, like with their dad or like their parents are still together, I'm like, oh, your idea of love must be top tier, bitch.
No, that part, because like when I went to school, I lived with like 5 different girls.
Yeah.
And we all have parents, obviously.
Yeah.
And we had one girl whose parents had been together for like 30 years. Like, her dad like kissed the ground, the mom's like walked on. Like, he was always like running around for like his kids. Like, they would just like the dad would do everything.
He was like a perfect dad role.
Like, like the ideal dad you see like in movies and stuff, like that was him. And then it was really weird to think that some people kind of grow up and they have that like whole daddy's girl, like like have that such like a strong bond with someone. Bitch, and then like on the flip side, like you're like,
oh yeah, well my dad hates me.
Like,
what about you?
Not being to understand that, like it's just like it's weird. Yeah, like it's a hard thing to kind of.
It's a hard pill to swallow. It's almost like. It is weird. It's not like actually weird. Like if you have parents that are still together, it's a beautiful thing. But like coming from like divorce parents, it's almost like we were talking about this on the other podcast episode. Your idea of love shifts. Mm-hmm. It changes, and now you're not like, I met this guy and we're gonna get married and be together forever. No. With me, I'm like, if we don't work out, we don't work out. And that's fine, period. And I'll divorce you, and then I'll divorce your bitch ass because that's it. Yeah. So, and although it's good because I'm very hyper independent and I don't need anybody, it's also not a good thing because I'm already sabotaging my relationships because I've seen my parents get sabotaged by each other. Does that make sense?
But you also, there's so many ways you can look at that because you tend to self-sabotage your own relationship and... That, or the flip side is like, but you grow up thinking like, I don't have to stay with you if I don't want to.
Period.
I can leave. I can leave at any time I want.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's
Which,
true.
You know what I mean? So it's just like,
it's so true.
2 sides.
Because I had this friend of a friend, she wasn't my friend, but a friend of a friend, and her parents were still together, and this girl was like 20 something, and the mom would always get cheated on by the dad. But she never left because she was like, no, este es mi esposo. No, yo me quedo aquí con mi esposo. No. Like, you know how it is in our whatever the fuck, like when you're married, that's it. One husband, that's it. So then the friend of a friend, she would always get cheated on by her baby daddy. Like, literally 1,000 times, okay? And when this girl would go to her mom, asking, Mom, like, I'm tired of getting cheated on. What do I do? She's like, pues quédate.
That's your baby's dad.
Sí, porque es el, whatever the fuck, I can't even speak Spanish anymore, but like, that's like the father of your kids. Why would you leave? Just ignore it. Yeah. Or cheat back. Pero tú te quedas con él. He pays the bills, right? And then this is why, although if people are a stay-at-home wife, stay-at-home mom, I respect it. I love it. That's a really, really hard job. But always, what my mom always taught me is make sure you always have your own money. Mm-hmm. I don't care if this motherfucker is rich. Great. That's still not your money. Even if you're married, still not your money. You think it's your money. That's your partner, not your money. That's his money. Always have your money. Because you never want to stay in a relationship that you're unhappy in just because you're like, well, he pays the bills, you know, oh my God. Like, he takes care of the kids' bills and I'll just stay. Is that a life? Are you setting a good example? Yeah. You got to have your own money to be like, you know what, I'm not happy and I'm leaving because I can't. You know what I mean?
That's the stuff that's crazy because, like, some people act like they don't have a choice. But maybe they also don't know better.
What do you mean they don't have a choice?
So, like, some people are like, oh my gosh, he pays the bills. I guess I'll stay. Girl, get up, go apply for a job.
I can't stand those. No,
like, go.
I can't stand the bitches. Some women don't work because they're busy with their kids. I'm not talking to you. That's great. I respect that. But it be those bitches that don't even have kids.
The stay-at-home girlfriends.
No, I don't mind that because that's also. Yeah, that's also important. Taking care of the household is important.
No, I mean the ones that do nothing.
No, that's what I'm talking about. It's those bitches that have no kids, no husband, no boyfriend, and you see them on TikTok live every day. Guys, can y'all send me money, please? I gotta pay for my phone. Guys, please send me money. Girl, you can't like pick up a fucking job application and go work. I don't want to work. Well, you don't want to eat food then, bitch. I don't know what to tell you. It's those bitches that would rather mooch and mooch and mooch until they cannot mooch anymore because they don't want to work. Well, if you ain't got rich parents or a rich husband, you really have no choice. You need to work. I cannot stand going on TikTok and seeing those people beg for money. I can't stand it. I don't know. Anyway, I'm in my head.
You're just like pissed off.
I see it all the time. People go on TikTok all the time.
Yeah.
And because this generation, I think Gen Z, although they're, no offense, a little judgmental, Gen Z is also very open-hearted. And if they see you crying or whatever, they're going to want to help you and defend you. So people take advantage of that and they go on live every day. Oh my God, you guys send me money, please. Oh my God. Bitch, how do you have a full set of nails? You don't need money to eat, bitch. Different podcast episode, but anyway, have your own money in a relationship.
No, that's what my mom taught me at the end of the day.
Did she too? Your mom taught you that too?
Yeah. Both parents always told me that,
good,
honestly. Yeah.
Good.
I don't know if they were just like projecting from their own like trauma. So they were like, make sure you have your own money.
True. Yeah. But it is important to have your own money. Even if it's like a tiny little job or a side hustle or you want to make some earrings and you sell it, always have your own little stash of cash because what if you're not happy anymore? Or what if he cheats on you? Or what if he fucks your friend? You don't want to stay just because he pays the bills.
It's like that movie, I forgot what it's called, but where this couple, one of them is a therapist and writes a book. It's a Tyler Perry movie. And
what's it called? With Janet Jackson, right?
Why Did I Get Married Too?
Oh my God, I love that movie.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. So then they're going through a nasty divorce. She makes so much money off her book, and then he wipes out the account and takes all the money.
You don't know
he
who
says
you're
it's his.
Yeah. That's interesting. I just watched a show on Hulu too, and one of the things, like, someone writes a letter to her, like she does like a questionnaire column for like a newspaper or whatever, and they're like saying like, how do I leave the person I'm with? And I think that'd be an example of like their trauma bond. Like this person has been with their partner for like so long and they don't know how to leave. And then the writer is in the middle of like going through like a separation with her husband.
Oh wow.
And then she like ends up like writing this like long, like beautiful letter. Like if you're stuck in a trauma bond, maybe like go watch that episode. But she essentially says like wanting to leave like is enough. Like, don't make excuses for, like, why you have to stay and all the good reasons for wanting to stay. And don't, like, hold on to, like, those memories that make you want to stay. Like, you having the urge to leave, like, is enough for you to leave. Like, do yourself enough respect. Like, give yourself the respect and, like, the life you deserve.
I never thought about it like that. Like, you think that's enough of a reason to leave? Is it just wanting to leave?
I think so.
You think so?
I think that people need to understand that we only like have this life and that we shouldn't compromise any part of it. Like, that's a big thing. Like, I don't think that anyone should compromise something that makes them happy. And, like, if you're in a relationship, like, relationships aren't, like, set in stone. Like, you don't need to just, like, be like, mended to each other forever. Like, regardless, like, if you're married or you're together or you're, like, whatever your status is, like, you're not, like, you don't have to, like, force yourself to be with someone. Like, if you want to leave, like, you can leave. Like, because if you're just somewhere where you don't really want to be, like, what good is going to come from that?
I have a question for one of you guys. Or you know what? I'm sorry, any of you. Have you guys ever had a trauma bond with an ex? Meaning, like, you guys are on and off for so fucking long, and although you know, like, this person, no offense, ain't shit, and you could be with someone better, something in you is like, I'm just gonna stay. Like, I know they're hurting me. I know I deserve better, but, like, let me just keep fucking trying. Yes. Have you guys, at what point did you realize, I'm not doing this anymore? Trauma bond or not, like, I have to go. At what point was that, like, your ending point? Like, fuck that, I'm done.
When I found out that there was another person.
So it kind of made the decision for you?
That was like the last straw. I was like, I'm not going to waste my time trying anymore. Like, why?
Yeah. So
that's what did it. Mm-hmm.
Do you think if there was never another person, you would have tried to work it out for a little bit longer at that point?
Probably.
How much longer you think?
That I don't know.
Trauma bonds.
I'm very old fashioned.
Yeah.
I'm very like, I wanted to be with one person for my entire life. So that played a part in it. But then the minute I found out that part of it, I was like, okay, no.
It's crazy how, like, you're old fashioned, like, you wanted to be with one person forever. And it's crazy how they didn't have the same opinion about you. And there was someone else on the side. You know what I mean? So, like, you pretty much put them on a pedestal. In return, they were out there, like,
they couldn't give you the respect that you were kind of just giving them off of.
Like,
like
looking for second best,
and
just in case.
Looking back on it, if you even look up like our signs, like we are like the worst possible match.
Really? What were they?
What? Sagittarius.
Oh,
Sagittarius and Taurus.
A Taurus. No.
Wait, they don't work?
No,
she's like
they work as friendships, as relationships, disaster.
Because you guys have, I think that in that case, they're just very different ideals and mentalities.
Yeah.
Because Tauruses are very, like, any earth sign really, like, enjoys structure, and Tauruses particularly are, like, very stubborn and, like, they're set in their ways.
Yeah.
And they kind of just want things to be, like, this structure, and that is how, like, they think that everyone else sees it. But Sagittariuses are, like, the free bird. Like, they just want to do as
the freest of the
free
spirits. They
just want to keep going and pick up as they go, like, have a good time. Like, it's just very different ideologies, like, in how they, like, view their life and the world.
Which is, like, with friendships, it works.
Watch someone in the comments be like, well, me and my husband were those times.
Good for them. Good for them. Look it up. No, with this, like, in friendships, it works because it's like Sagittarius gets Taurus, like, come on, just do it, just go.
Yeah.
True.
Relationships, I don't want to hear that from you. You should want to stay home when I want to stay home. And that's when it's just like,
because in relationships, like, you're wanting to, like, build this future together, but if you guys have different ideas of what a future is, then, like, how are you gonna kind of come to a common ground in that instance?
Yeah.
Do you think you've ever, last question, do you think you've ever had a trauma bond with someone else that's not, like, an ex or a